Evening's political panel, Bloomberg politics contributor and Democratic strategist Adam Hodge, who's managing director at Bully Pulpit International, alongside Republican strategist Maura Gillespie, founder, principal, Blue Stack Strategies. It's great to see you both, and thank you for being with us here on this evening before Thanksgiving with some very difficult news here in our capital city. We should note, by the way, that both of these individuals who were targeted, according to the D.C. mayor, are hospitalized in critical condition despite some conflicting reports in the immediate aftermath of this. Maura, when you talk to National Guard troops on the streets of Washington, and you'll frequently see them walking around in groups of 5 or 6, to our earlier point, you might be in front of Union Station, they might be right in front of the building where you work. Either way, they're very approachable, they're very kind, usually worth asking them where they're from. In this case, Maura, they were from West Virginia. And the Pentagon is now set to call up 500 more National Guard troops to come to Washington, D.C., to have them leave their families in this deployment. Should they be?
I think that's a tough question to answer properly, especially right now. I don't know that for many people who have been to Union Station in years past and then went this year after the Guards were there was a significant difference. I felt it myself walking through there. You said it yourself, they're very kind, amiable people. And there was a sense of security. Union Station has had problems for years, and so that situation felt like it was being cleaned up. Do I think that's the best use of our National Guardsmen? I don't necessarily, but I do think there was something that needed to be done. But I think as we look at the situation that we're watching play out on the screen adjacent to me right now, we have a lot of questions and we don't have answers to. The only things that we know right now is they're from West Virginia. We also know is that there are 2 families who have no answers right now and are praying and holding their breath and hoping that their loved ones are safe. And so I think for all of us here watching and at home and preparing to go to see our families and our loved ones, to just think of them and to hold a little light for them tonight, that their loved ones are safe and can get through this critical condition that they're currently in.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your grace in answering that question, Maura. You know, you were with us on the day that Charlie Kirk was shot, and we had a very difficult conversation about political violence in this country. Trump was talking about crime or lack thereof in Washington, D.C. just yesterday. Let's go back a couple of hours and listen to what the president said. Here he is.
Washington, D.C. is considered a safe zone. This was one of our most unsafe places anywhere in the United States. It is now considered a totally safe city.
Just blocks away from where this happened. Today he was speaking in the Rose Garden there. And of course, we remember, as I mentioned earlier, just a block or 2 in the other direction is the seafood restaurant where President Trump went to kind of make that proclamation that they had won over crime in the city. Have you updated your thoughts on this, Maura? We talked about it a lot at the time. And should lawmakers like Congressman Garamendi, who we spoke with earlier this hour, be given additional security for when they're in D.C.?
You know, unfortunately, we watched after January 6th the need for it. We watched as things have happened in the year since. And again, when you and I spoke after the Charlie Kirk shooting, we talked about how many tragedies and how many acts of political violence we've watched play out. And so, unfortunately, and while we still don't have answers on exactly what happened here, aside from the fact that 2 men were gunned down at point blank range who are National Guardsmen, what we do know is also that the threats are coming into Congress every day. Members of Congress are being threatened. I know my experience working for Congressman Kinzinger, we would get horrific messages left in our voicemails to wake up to and to come into the office and listen to. And it's really jarring. We can talk about it when you're in that office and you're listening to someone say, we're coming for you. And they have we have the office addresses there. It's available. It's on the website. It's not a secret and it's not hard to get to. I do think there needs to be an increased level of security because not just for the members of Congress themselves, which yes, absolutely, but the people who work in that office. There are people in this country who are seeking to do harm. They may not know the congressman or congresswoman's schedule, but going into an office or going into that space, it creates a threat that I'm afraid that we're not thinking about in real terms because it feels like a faraway thing, but it's really not. And so I do believe that we need to, as Adam pointing out, there's money in the budget for law enforcement in D.C. I believe Congress needs to look at a way to ramp up security there within D.C. offices, but also in the districts.
Yeah, Joe Morris
They've
spot on
increased
there.
security funding by about $10,000. Adam, is more needed?
Yes, absolutely. And I was just going to add, Morris spot on there. It really is something for members and their staff that do need more protection. But it's not just Charlie Kirk. It's lawmakers in Minnesota who were assassinated.
Yeah.
Lawmakers and across the country constantly on the foot. Just yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the things that she alluded to was her fear of being assassinated, like Charlie Kirk. She called it out in those stark terms. That is not how members of Congress should live their lives. That is not how their staff should have to live their lives. They should be focused and 100% on making this country a better place and finding common ground on key issues. It's really hard to do that if you're fearful for your life going into the halls of Congress or doing campaign events. So I hope that we can find a way to get out of this situation we got to.
It's no way to draw the best of us to Washington, that is for sure. But I thank you both so much for the insights. I'm thankful for your grace, and I wish you both a happy Thanksgiving. Adam Hodge and Maura Gillespie, our great panel.